Octane is the newest legend within Apex Legends in Apex Legends Season 1. With that being said, in this video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how you can become a pro Octane player with 5 easy tips to hopefully improve your Octane game within Apex Legends. If you guys are new here, please feel free down below to leave a like and also subscribe. The channel's been doing pretty nice recently. I'm really happy and proud about that, and I thank you guys so much for that too. So if you guys are new, please feel free down below to hit the bell icon as well so you never miss another Apex Legends video on the channel. And let's get straight into this. Alright, so I've been using Octane for pretty much the past, 100 games I've been playing within Season 1 so far, and I feel like I got a very good grip on what Octane can do and how you can use him properly. So the first tip I have for you guys, and it actually has to do with his launchpad, and that's to save his launchpad for the end of the game or to use it for exploits to get higher into the map. So since his jump pad is fairly new and people still, are getting a grip on how to use it, and it is a ton of fun to use, most people kind of just use his launch pad to just have a ton of fun in the map and hopefully to rush over to enemies faster. But if you guys want to save it for the late game, what you can actually do with it is use his launch pad with a tip I'm going to be telling you guys later on in the video to actually get higher up in the map. Now when I'm talking about higher up on the map, I'm not just talking about rushing over to get like on top of a building. I'm talking about legit points that you could only get to with Pathfinder's zipline. These are places like over on top of bunker, places like over at the very top of repulsor, not the 2 buildings but the gate that you actually have to take to get into there. You can take Pathfinder's zipline. You also can use Octane's launchpad. It is a little bit difficult, you can only launch it from certain spots, but if you use Octane's zipline, if you use Octane's launchpad effectively, you can actually get to certain parts of the map that you can't if you just use it to, launch over to different parts of the map and rush enemies. So if you save it for the late game, you can actually use it to get onto different cliff sides and stuff like that, which will give you the high ground and hopefully get a peek on the enemies, and maybe you can even get some shots on them and kill them without them even being able to see you. Super useful, super effective. I've not seen most people do this. I've legit only seen people using it to, rush enemies. So if I see, you guys comment, well, Crazy Pie, this is kind of obvious. Yeah, it's so obvious, but I've never seen people use it before in the way that I'm talking about it right now. So if you guys use it in this way, save it for the late game, and trust me, it'll be useful. It's going to be so useful. Trust me, it's so useful to use launchpad in the very late game, and it'll get you most of the time to win if you use it properly. The next tip I have for you guys here, spot number 2, has to do with the stim as well as swift men. So obviously if you use stim, you lose about 30 health, I believe, 25 health, which isn't bad. It's not that much, but you only get back around 1 HP per second, or per 2 seconds, I believe it is. So try obviously not to use the stim if you're straight in a gunfight and if someone's shooting at you. Obviously it's very good, but the way to properly use stim, from what I've found, to win more gunfights is if you use stim while you're actually in a gunfight to strafe. Alright, strafing while you use stim is very, very overpowered. If you guys don't know what strafing is, it's basically when you move side to side in a gunfight so that the enemy can't hit you. Well, now you can basically use stim to run around circles on the enemy or use it to strafe side to side. The enemy will not be able to shoot you as much, obviously, because you're moving faster. This also works with Bangalore's ability, but if you're using this in a gunfight, strafing or running around the enemy is just the most overpowered thing while using Octane. Trust me when I say this, you're going to want to use it when you're in a gunfight. I know it can kind of be forgetful sometimes when you're in a gunfight to, want to use that ability because you're in a gunfight. When are you going to instantly just kick in and remember, hey, I have an ability? I've definitely forgotten when I'm in a gunfight to use my abilities, but trust me when I say this, when you're in a gunfight, you're going to want to use stim either to get away from the gunfight or to strafe around the gunfight. Also, one of the better things to do is if you use stim and his launchpad, you can both use them to launch over top of the enemies and get right up behind them. I've done this countless amount of times and it does work super, super well. The next 2 tips I have for you guys deals with the launchpad again and how to use it more effectively. The first one here, number 3, it's to use the launchpad jump exploit. I did this literally in yesterday's video. It's how to get higher on the launchpad. If you just go to my channel right now, you can watch it. It's literally right down underneath this video. But basically what it is once you hit the launchpad, you can either use the stim, but you're going to want to hit jump on your controller or on your keyboard or spacebar, whatever it is for you to jump. Right after you hit the launchpad, this will basically allow you to go higher and further because you have both stim as well as the jump exploit. This helps you out so much if you want to launch over enemies, and it just makes the launchpad a lot more effective. And if you can use this in certain engagements, in certain situations, it'll get you higher over the enemies or even onto different ledges or buildings that you couldn't get onto normally if you didn't use this exploit. And this is basically the bridge gap that'll take you from a normal Octane player to one that can use this ability to hopefully become a better and even maybe a pro Octane player, because trust me, it makes a huge difference being able to jump higher with his launch pad, because you can just get way further and more past enemies and hopefully get the high ground a lot easier. It also makes them harder to shoot you because you are going higher, and it is obviously harder to shoot someone if they are higher, just like on the balloon. And the fourth tip also deals with the launch pad. I don't know if most people know this. I've seen this before. I've been using this for time and time again. You can use it when you're launching off of a balloon, like if you're just jumping, or if you're launching or falling off of a high cliff. But it's actually when you're in midair, right before you're about to land, do a little kick. So you're going to want to look forward, alright, and then right as you're about to land, you're going to want to hit the kick button or the melee button. It'll basically make your character kick so that they won't do the falling animation, because I don't know if you guys know this, but when you fall in Apex Legends, your character actually does a little bit of a stumble animation, which means they can't move for like 2 to 3 seconds because they're doing this animation. If you actually kick right before you're about to fall, it'll make it so that you don't do the kick animation, or so you don't do the stumble animation, and it'll basically make it so that you can get into the gunfight a lot faster. And it's really good because obviously, you know, some people are like, well, why does this matter? It works really, really well. If you launch over an enemy and then instead of having to land right behind them and do the little stumble animation and they have the extra 2 to 3 seconds to get maybe 100 damage on you, you can instantly pull out your weapon and get a ton of damage on them that way too, because you can shoot at them over top of them, because if you're launching over top of them, and then right when you land, instead of having to do the stumble animation, you can immediately start shooting at them as well, and it works super, super well. The next tip I have for you guys, probably one of the better ones on the list, and it is very useful, and I do this all the time. If you know how to slide hop in Apex Legends, this is going to help you out a ton. If you don't, it doesn't really matter because you're still going to be using the stim for this. But if you can use the slide hop while you're stimmed to heal up, or maybe even use a syringe while you use it, so because, you know, swift mend obviously doesn't work that well. It's only 1 health point, I believe, or maybe 5 health points every 2 seconds, I believe, which isn't that good. But if you use a syringe right after you use your stim when you're in a gunfight, it'll basically mean you get to full health immediately again. So you can use as much stims as you want, and then on the very last one, use a syringe or use a med kit so that when you're in the gunfight, you will be at full health. This is super useful because obviously when you do lose the 10 to 15, 25 health when you use stim, you'll basically instantly get it back, and you'll still have the distance when you do the slide hopping, because obviously if you slide hop while you're stimmed, you go a lot further, and basically if you do this, you can get out of an engagement faster, heal up easier and quicker, and you'll be more distance between the enemy and you. And instead of just sitting there healing like a little goofball, you can use this to get out of a situation and heal on the move while you get out of there. Super useful. I haven't seen people do this yet. Obviously it's good if you can just slide hop out of there, but if you can use a stim, slide hop, and even a syringe when you are stimming to get into the engagement, it helps do it a lot more. So instead of running away and slide hopping, push the enemies, and as you're pushing them, use a stim or a med kit as much as you possibly can, so that when you get into the gunfight, you'll be at full health, and maybe that full health will even be able to get you the knock or even the kill on the enemy because you have a positive health advantage. Everything here trying to help you guys get a positive health advantage within Apex Legends, because obviously if you have more health than the enemy, you're going to most likely win the gunfight as long as you can hit your shots. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys did enjoy, please feel free down below to leave a like as well as subscribe. I'm going to leave a link to my new Crazy Pie Instagram down there. I post everything from Apex Legends, you know, sweet tricks, insane kills and stuff like that, some pretty sweet squad wipes. I got a really insane grenade kill on there yesterday. Super happy about that. But yeah, I'll leave a link to that down in the description below so you guys can go have a look on the Instagram and hopefully give it a follow. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Like and subscribe, everything, bell notifications must have down below. I'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Peace out.